Hi folks, and welcome back to my amateur gardening adventures here in my brand new greenhouse that I'm trying to get my head around how to use everything and how to make plants grow. This is all very much a learning curve for me. Last time we were just kind of starting to get things planted out. We started pricking out a few seedlings and stuff, and now I've got a bit of a dilemma which I'm hoping you can help me with. I'll give you an update on all of this later on, but before I start on that, I've got a few more important jobs I need to get done because for a brief moment in time it's not actually raining. Now, if I remember rightly, when we last spoke, it was starting to get much warmer. The greenhouse was getting up to crazy temperatures, which is why I had to fit the vents and all that sort of thing. Now it's gone really cold again. We're kind of back into winter territory, but stuff is growing just very slowly. In fact, the thing that's growing the fastest is the weeds, and Mrs. Mac is hard at work over on the other side of the garden there, de-weeding everything. And we had some crazy biblical rain over the last couple of weeks, and as a result, loads of rubbish has washed down the river, and it's a little bit blocked at the moment. Hi chicken, where are you off? But that's another story for a whole separate video. First things first, I must get rid of this giant pile of twigs and branches. I've already kind of vaguely sorted it out so that we've just got kind of straight branches, because if you try and find something. If you try and put like, I don't know if you can see, so if you try and put something like that through the shredder, it just gets jammed. So you have to like cut the limbs off and prepare it a little bit. But these are all vaguely ready to put through the shredder. I haven't started this thing up for probably best part of 2 years. On, choke on, fuel on. Can't remember what you do with that. I think I need some PPE. Man, that machine is awesome. Bought it ages ago. I keep meaning to make a video about it, but keep getting distracted. I've got loads of footage from when I first built it to tell you how to make one of these, because it comes, oh, I've put it away. Because it kind of comes in bits and you do have to assemble it, and I thought maybe one day that might be useful. Anyway, rain stops play, it's chucking it down again, so that's enough for today. Of course, the next problem is what to do with all the chips, because I've got enough over there for that bed. So at the minute I'm just dumping it all in front of the log pile here. Hopefully I'll not need the log pile anymore this year. Well, not until winter. And at least here, I've got a couple of paving stones at the bottom there, although, oh man, I need one of those paving stones for the water butt project. I forgot about that. Never mind. But if you don't put it on paving stones, then stuff starts kind of growing up through it. Plus, it's much easier to shovel it up off a hard surface like that, but it'll do for now. And no, I'm not putting it in the river. There's like 10 meters between here and the river. But this is all lovely kind of woodland floor material here. So this will just go next to the snowberries and everything else, the bluebells and everything else down here. Love all of this kind of mulch. So we do manage this area best we can. So I've got this pile left. I'll need to chop this up with a chainsaw. It's a bit too big to shred. And I've just got this left to do. But it started raining. Now the rain stopped. So, you know what it is. I'm going to get this done. Whenever I'm preparing wood to go through the chipper, by the way, I always try and face the branches in the direction that they're going to go into the chipper. That makes life a little bit quicker. This one's a bit too big to chip though. And chip these smaller branches. That's going to need chainsawed. That'll probably go through. But you see, you get these like bits like that. That'll get jammed. The rest of that I think will go through. It's a bit big. You get kind of a feel like that's a bit noting something. You don't have to shred everything. That'll go. That's too big. So close to being done. I'm determined to get this job out the road. Oh, you're a beast. Chainsaw that. Little tip for you, if you've never used one of these things, when you're finished, never leave it with any stuff in it. Like, always check that it's nice and empty, leave it going for a bit if there's anything stuck there, just to let it clear itself out, because if there is anything jammed in it, you run into all sorts of problems starting it the next time. Just in time though. Here comes the rain again. There we go, another job done. So, ladies and gentlemen, as you may remember from last time, I planted up a whole load of seedlings and they were kind of growing very, very slowly, where we're now at the 23rd of April. And check this out. I have a whole load of plants and I'm not entirely sure what to do next. So I'm going to kind of start from the left and work along. We've got a few extra new seedlings here. Sunflower, what's that? Sun Gold and Viola something or other, and Sage. I'll talk about those tomato plants in a minute because the tomato plants are my biggest concern. We have then got mostly tomato plants at the back there. Some of the marigolds are there as well. Red sunflowers, the red sunflowers seem to be doing really, really well. Another marigold there, some spinach and some cuttings of rosemary that I'm just kind of doing a thing with at the minute. I have then pricked out all of the little zinnias and they seem to be doing all right, I think. All the marigolds here seem to be doing pretty fine. More zinnia there, more zinnia here. All of the spare onion sets are put into kind of pot things, and we've got some dill at the back there as well, which desperately needs pricked out, but I haven't had time to do that yet. And we've got even more zinnia over on the right hand side here. Then upper height here, we've got cos lettuce, we've got the Lollo Rosso lettuce at the front, we've got Dithmarshire cabbage at the back, chives, broccoli, and some curly kale seedlings as well. You'll notice that all the lavender plants have gone from here because they were all cuttings that I took last year or the year before, I can't remember, but I've planted all of those out now, so they're all out in the big bad world. The only thing that we've got left in here is that rosemary plant at the back, and as I say, I've trimmed that down a bit, took a few cuttings from it because it was getting a bit kind of gangly. And by the way, my reasoning for putting these up here, it tends to be a little bit more shady up this top end of the greenhouse, and I was a little bit worried that when these were with all the other plants that they were getting a bit scorched, so I've moved them up here. And they all look pretty good, to be honest, but I could do with planting those out. More about that in a minute. And then underneath here I've got some sweet pea seedlings, which, well, they haven't germinated yet, but hopefully they will at some point. I've also got some extra, what have I got? Lavitera and foxgloves are in the house attempting to germinate, but they were getting crazily leggy, so I've used one of my studio filming lights to try and get a little bit of extra light onto them because they haven't all germinated yet. I can't bring them into the greenhouse because it's too cold. So until they've all germinated, they're kind of stuck in the house. But the ones that germinated first are just getting leggier and leggier. So yeah, what do you do in that situation? I'm not sure. Maybe I should prick out the leggy ones or something. Anyway, other stuff we've got under here, we've got just some spare lettuce and cabbage. Then outside in the raised beds, all of the potatoes have started coming through and they are looking absolutely fine. I'm just praying for no frost. I also planted up the spare potatoes into pots as well. I figured I might as well make use of them. So we've got Maris Piper in that pot and Foremost in that pot. And we've got carrots, which are very, very tiny at the minute in this pot in the middle. And that's what's left of the morning glories over the side there. I wasn't sure if they were getting too warm in the greenhouse, so I brought them outside. It hasn't improved the situation. They just aren't doing very well at all. Then the shallots are doing absolutely grand. We've got lettuce and cabbage planted out here, and we've got the onions growing happily over here as well. Everything's generally going all right, although literally within 1 day of putting the lettuce out, one of the plants got eaten by slugs. So from now on, it's a full-on war against slugs, and I've just noticed a leaf has been eaten off one of those cabbage plants as well. So yeah, my attempts at slug control. I have made a number of beer traps and they seem to be working. I only put this out yesterday and that's probably got about 10 slugs in it already, so we'll see how that goes. All I can say is this is going to cost me a lot on beer. So if anyone has some creative ideas other than beer traps to kind of control slugs, do post it down in the comments. I've put some bits of copper wire around some of the lettuce there to see if that does anything, but I don't know. I've read mixed reports on the whole copper thing, and they could probably crawl under that anyway. But to be honest, that is not my biggest concern. My biggest concern is tomatoes. So as I say, 23rd of April, and my tomato plants are still pretty tiny, really. I mean, what's that? 4 inches tall or something? I mean, these cherry tomatoes, they're tiny, nowhere near ready to plant out into the soil. I mean, I'm going to be planting everything in the greenhouse, by the way. This isn't to go outdoors. What I have attempted to do is I've planted out some of these into bigger pots, but I don't think these are particularly pot bound or anything, so I don't think that is the cause of the problem. Let's have a quick look. Nah, that's not pot bound. That's fine, really. So, I don't know. What do you think? I don't think they need any extra water. One thing that did happen, by the way, we went on holiday, and just before we went on holiday, it looked like the weather was going to really improve in the UK and it was starting to get much warmer. But as it happened when we were away, it was basically a week of absolute torrential rain and it was really, really cold. And as a result, all the compost has turned green in these pots. So I think just with the greenhouse being all closed up for a week and the humidity in the air and stuff like that's caused a bit of algae. But I don't think that's a particular problem for the plants. But I'm not sure. Am I just being impatient? I'll show you. So what are the ones that are... So it's a San Marzano that I planted out into a slightly bigger pot just as an experiment to see if that's going to help. Let me find a normal. So there's a normal San Marzano there. That's the one I planted out. So there's not a lot in it. Definitely the one I've put in the bigger pot is a little bit bigger, but there's, as I say, there's really not much in it. But that isn't big enough, I don't think, to plant in the ground yet. Or is it? I don't know. I think I'm just being a bit impatient. I'll give it another couple of weeks, but let us know in the comments. As I say, 23rd of April, what's the latest I can plant this out? Does it matter if we're going to get into kind of the middle of May, back end of May? Because at the minute, I think that's how long it's going to be before this is at a reasonable size. Do you think I should plant all of these out into slightly bigger pots? As I say, they're not exactly... there's a bit of root at the bottom, I suppose. But I wouldn't call it pot bound by any stretch of the imagination. But, answers on a postcard. I have no clue what I'm doing, and the thing that I really want to grow out of everything else is tomatoes. On a similar note, the marigolds, again, I don't know. They just look a bit kind of leggy. What's that? Volunteer. They don't exactly look like the marigolds that you get in the supermarket. They are small marigolds, so I don't know. Maybe that's normal. Maybe they're supposed to look like that, but should I just leave them? They don't feel like they need water or anything. I don't want to overwater them after they've probably got a little bit too much water while we're away on holiday. All the zinnia and onions and stuff like that, well, I could do with planting them out, but I just don't know where to put them. And as I say, the red sunflower, I mean, look at that. That's doing great, but do I plant that outside at some point? So that's kind of the story so far. It's all immensely exciting. But I think after I've put all this hard work in to get the seeds growing, I just don't want to muck it up at the kind of critical stage. It's all a bit of a learning curve, I suppose. Anyway, I've got lots more I need to get done. I'm going to have to get these dills pricked out before they get any bigger. But other than that, I'm not sure. Maybe it's just a bit of a waiting game and I need to be a bit patient and put my feet up and enjoy the garden. And there's loads more stuff to do out in the garden anyway, and I'll update you on all of that next time because the garden is springing into life, but I'll save that for a future episode. As per usual, folks, look after one another, be nice to each other. We shall see you next time. Tatty bye!